Well, a warm welcome to this talk and welcome back to Professor David Anderson. Professor, thank you for coming back.
Thank you very much, John.
Now, you're no stranger to this channel, of course, but if you haven't met Professor Anderson before, he's a retired professor of endocrinology and a lifelong physician. And there's a nutrient deficiency that a lot of us are probably suffering from in northern climes at the moment that you want to remind us about, Professor. What is that nutrient?
Yes, well, it's vitamin or vitamin D3 specifically, which we make. It's spoken of as a nutriment, but it's really a consequence. Most of us get most of it from exposure of skin to sunlight. And this is a major problem. I mean, I'm living in Italy, which about 44 degrees north. But even here, there's not enough sun. Even if you go out in the garden regularly, in the winter, there's bound to be a deficiency. And the problem, this has interested me for a long time, vitamin D, since I first started as a junior doctor in Dundee in 1964. And the progress of understanding vitamin D is enormous since then. We understand how it works. We understand that it's absolutely central to being a normal, healthy human being. And what the ultraviolet B light from the sun does, it acts on a precursor, which is 7-dehydrocholesterol, which can go either towards vitamin D or it can go towards cholesterol. And this opens up the B ring so that the vitamin becomes uniquely flexible as a sterol. There's no other sterol that's as flexible as this. And it's absolutely central to all sorts of resistance to all sorts of external and internal harms. And I have, as you know, I've written a couple of books with David Grimes. The first was on COVID because we both independently woke up to the fact that COVID-19, which it turns out is a synthetic virus, man-made bioweapon, in fact, is highly sensitive to having a decent level of vitamin D. You can shake it off yourself easily. But if you're D deficient, it's been constructed in such a way with this furin insert that it's highly damaging. And, it's been constructed as a bioweapon. And now the sequence of this patented virus, the sequence of this insert, a long furin insert, is also highly damaging to repair mechanisms. So and this has been used in these pseudo vaccines. Now, what I wanted mainly to say today is to tell the audience, remind them that you can supplement yourself with vitamin D really easily. It costs you about 10 quid a year, I mean, it's peanuts. And this will bring it's very important to get your blood level up above 50 nanograms per mil, which in UK units is 125 nanomoles per litre. And that is necessary in order to produce natural immunity. There are other things too, but the most vulnerable is vitamin D. So I'm a simple-minded ex-doctor. My take on this is that you should assume that you're D deficient and take supplements year-round. because we all, the rays, UVB radiation doesn't get through glass. It doesn't get through. Certainly doesn't get through sunblock. That is just complete insanity to plaster yourself with sunblock in the summer, and it's easy. My wife and I take. In Italy, we can get vials of vitamin D3, 100,000 units. You break the vial, try not to cut yourself in the process, and shake the contents onto a piece of bread. The contents are dissolved in olive oil. We add some extra olive oil and take one vial a month. That's 100,000 units. So that will give you a decent background level. There's absolutely no risk of overdose. And we also take a calcifediol. This is the preparation available in Italy, neodidra or calcifediol. You can now get it in Britain, I understand, although it has to be given by prescription. Anybody can just go into a pharmacy in Italy and buy these vials. And, a capsule like that twice a month, that is the reservoir form. So if you're overweight, because D3 itself tends to get stored in fat, it's a fat-soluble vitamin, then you're best just to take one calcifediol once a week, and that will give you a very good blood level. But get it checked. So the really important message that David Grimes and I have learned together, really had reinforced, is that Big Pharma is an enemy number one of vitamin D. The reason for that is that they're making their money off these pseudo vaccines and vaccines. Every time you have a vaccine of any kind, your vitamin D level, the reservoir form, which is this calcifediol, it's 25 hydroxy. It's made in your liver from vitamin D, but you're just bypassing it if you take it as a calcifediol. The level will fall. And you don't need a clinical trial to show that, because what it does, vitamin D, it acts with it acts through a vitamin D receptor, and it acts with vitamin A or retinol, which also has a receptor. And this is all discussed and well illustrated in our book from illustrations that we've taken from the internet. And you need some zinc too, but basically, those three together act to switch on something like 1,000 of your genes. That's 3% of your genome. And it's not just your genome, it's your epigenome too, which is the memory of infections that you have. These are recorded in various ways. And from your point of view, what is happening now, and we're promised more by Bill Gates, we're promised more vaccinations. We've got the ridiculous situation that the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, who knows nothing about this at all, he only knows about the things that most of us don't know about making lots of money. Klaus Schwab says, everybody's going to have to be vaccinated twice a year. And this is bound to make us all vitamin D deficient. So just to cut to the chase, everybody watching this program and all of their friends would be well advised to know what your vitamin D level is and take the sort of supplements that I'm mentioning. I take it like that. You can take 5,000 or 7,000 or 10,000 units of vitamin D a day if you wish, but one tends to forget, and we can always remember when the first of the month is.
Yep, interesting. Yep.
What this will do is it will help protect you. It'll help raise your natural immunity and so render you less susceptible to all of the insults that Big Pharma seems to be planning.
Do you think it has a protective effect against cancers as well?
Absolutely, absolutely, yes. It probably varies depending on the type of cancer, and it will certainly vary according to your genetics. As an example, there's a mutation in a substance called BRCA1, BRCA1, which predisposes you to breast cancer and probably to other cancers. But this is, there's very good studies, and they're referenced in our book, to the fact that if you're D deficient, you're particularly vulnerable. And you can protect yourself by getting a decent D level. So,
and the calcifediol is not available in the UK. Am I okay just to take ordinary vitamin D3 tablets?
Well, you are, but it can now be obtained. I understand from David from
doctors can prescribe one capsule at a time, but most of them won't.
Well, I mean, this is just an example of the collusion, criminal collusion of the healthcare profession. There are people up there in high places and people not so high places receiving very good money to keep you unhealthy. And vitamin D deficiencies, there's no doubt in my mind that vitamin D deficiency is understood by Big Pharma. And this, we've made our book, we've made both books. This is the first book that we got. That's the Italian version, the deficiency of vitamin D and COVID-19. And this is the book which I'm just bringing out another printing of this, 500 copies. But you can download it as a PDF file from our website. Which is,
excellent! So we can put the link for that so people can download it.
Yeah, and obviously, personally, I think it's good to have a hard copy if you can afford 20 quid or 20 euros for
and you can send us the link and the the addresses for that.
The link is on degreatbiologyreset.com website.
Given that practically I don't think I can get calcifediol in the UK, so I'm just going to have to take vitamin D3 personally, I think.
My wife has recently unfortunately had a stroke, which was then compounded by an intervention, and I fed her in hospital. She was given 5% survival rate, and she's made a remarkable recovery, and I kept giving her surreptitiously. I knew there was no point in asking doctors to prescribe it because they panicked. And when she left hospital, the level was 87.6 nanograms per mil. Excellent level. And you need this for a brain repair after a stroke. You need this for prevention of cancer. The list of diseases, it's almost impossible to find a disease that is not made worse by D deficiency or predisposed to by D deficiency. And I'm very happy to see that it looks as if Robert F. Kennedy in the States is going to be approved by the Senate. Let's hope so, because the guy, his Child Health Defense website on autism rates. Autism, when I was a medical student, the incidence was something like 1 in 10,000, and that was mostly males. It's now in parts of the States, it's 1 in 25. And this is, and all the vaccinations in the world, every time you're vaccinated, you're going to deplete your natural immunity by depleting your level of vitamin D. And everybody knows of people in the UK, USA, and elsewhere knows of people, young people who've died from consequences of these pseudo vaccines. And it's a real crime against humanity.
Maybe they'll bring out a vaccination against autism.
Yes, I mean, it's just, and unfortunately, people believe what they're told without looking at the evidence. But you should be pushing really hard. The medical profession has to push hard to get calcifediol, because if there's an epidemic of obesity, and people. Overweight people store the vitamin D is a fat soluble vitamin, goes into your bloodstream, and a high percentage will go in and be sequestered away in fat. Yeah. So, in my opinion, and this is why I wanted to come onto your program and say it again, there is a major conspiracy against vitamin D.
And we'll paste the links for these under the in the description.
Yes.
Yeah. Excellent, Professor. As always, thank you for that timely update.